In the early 1940s, the United States military had no divisions that were equipped to fight in high-altitude snowy mountain terrain. Later in World War II, this weakness became evident and required a reaction. In response to the problem, the Army made the 10th Light Division Alpine, an Army division that would specialize in fighting in the most harsh conditions any mountain could throw at them. On July 10th, 1943, the division was set in stone under the command of Major General Lloyd E. Jones. The training grounds for this division would be high in the mountains of Colorado at a base named Camp Hale, at an elevation of about 9,200 feet. This elevation would be perfect to mimic what the division would experience at war. During the division's time at Camp Hale, they would be trained physically and mentally. It was vital that they be prepared for any circumstance they might encounter. They would ski and hike with large packs and learn to deal with the cold temperatures and survive with only necessities. In addition to this, the division would then receive standard combat training at Camp Swift in Texas. On November 6, 1944, the division was renamed as the 10th Mountain Division. After all the division's time training, they would prove to be a good choice in the eyes of the Army as they got deployed in northern Italy during World War II. While in Italy, perhaps their greatest accomplishment took place. The division would be tasked to seize the German-occupied Riva Ridge and Mount Belvedere on the Apennine Range. The division succeeded in penetrating the German Gothic line and took control of these two locations. This was pivotal for the United States as it allowed troops to push through into northern Italy and later Germany. This division was made up of elite soldiers who were hard-working and had ambitions. These men would stop at nothing to finish their task and were trusted to get the job done. This is fitting as today they are known as the most deployed division in the Army. In the early days, many of the soldiers that made this division loved skiing and were able to use these skills to help serve their country. Their time in the military only furthered their passion and caused many of them to come back for more and continue in the sport in many different ways. For some, their pursuit in skiing was to start their own resorts. One of the most notable people to do this was Pete Seibert. Pete Seibert was born on August 7th, 1924 in Sharon, Massachusetts, and had first started skiing when he was 7 years old. Skiing changed his life and opened him to new adventures. This newfound love later became a dream of opening a ski resort and made him a skier for life. He did anything to ski, whether the conditions were good or bad, so when it came time that he joined the Army, it seemed only obvious that he volunteer for the 10th Mountain Division. His passion for the sport and knowledge of skiing and the mountains secured his spot in the elite division. After being trained and deployed to Italy, Pete got injured by German mortar fire.
And was told he would never ski again. But just 2 years later, he was not only skiing, but teaching and racing in Aspen.
Major parts of his body, like his legs and arms, got hit. He was told that he would never walk again. For Pete, this injury wasn't just physical, it went much deeper. This injury meant he would never be able to ski again, and skiing was everything to Pete. It was his hobby, his job, his dream, and to some extent his whole life. Without skiing, Pete wouldn't have an identity. So Pete was forced to make a reaction. He knew he could choose to just give up on skiing and find something else to fill his days. But Pete was taught in the military to not give up, and so he didn't. He chose the hard path that would require the work and determination. His choice was wise as it led to him not only walking again, but even skiing and competing. His experience in the military and the passion for skiing caused him to pull off what seemed like a miracle. Now that he could ski again, instead of just returning to civilian life, he thought it was time that he make the dream he had as a child a reality. He went back to Europe and went to an international school to study hotel management and kept an eye on European ski resorts. After some time in Europe, he then returned to the United States, and after multiple other jobs, he got one managing Loveland Ski Resort. During his time working there, he met a man named Earl Eaton and befriended him. Pete would find out that Earl also dreamt of beginning his own ski resort. The two began looking for mountains that would be best to build on, and in 1957 the two took a 7-hour climb to the top of what is now Vail Mountain and found beautiful back bowls and perfect terrain. They knew that this was the perfect spot.
Seibert was awestruck. He later described it as the most mind-blowing landscape of all. Looking out at the vista, he exclaimed to Eaton, "We've climbed all the way to heaven." Eaton, ever the understated guide, simply replied, "It gets better, Pete." The decision was made on that hike. This would be the place.
Starting Vail was not easy, however. The two had to convince people to fund the project and convince landowners to sell to them. all while keeping as low profile as possible so others wouldn't try and swoop in, stealing their ideas or property. Many people thought their idea was crazy and not worth any time. For the investors, it was a big gamble that could have not returned. But in 1959, the two had convinced 26 people that would make up Vail Corporations. Those included were bankers, skiers, investors, and architects that would play important roles.
Vail Corporation was officially formed with 26 original shareholders. Still, they needed significant capital. The U.S. Forest Service had granted them a permit for the ski slopes, but it was conditional on raising $1.8 million. The breakthrough came from Denver oilman George Calkins, who became known as the Funder. He devised an ingenious plan, borrowing from oil drilling financing techniques. They would sell 100 shares for $10,000 each, which included 4 lifetime ski passes and the deed to a home site parcel for an additional $500.
In 1961, they were issued final permits to begin building Vail, and in 1962, all the hard work had paid off, and Pete's dream came true. Vail opened with a gondola, 2 ski lifts, and 876 acres of terrain. At opening, Vail was the third largest ski resort in the United States, and its first season had 55,000 skiers. This compared to other popular resorts like Breckenridge that only had 17,000 skiers in its first season, and Arapahoe Basin that only had 1,200. Vail was not just a resort, but a revolution in the industry. Pete used what he had seen in Europe to make his resort one of the first in America to treat skiing as a lifestyle instead of a simple activity. Vail wasn't just slopes, but a community. It incorporated anything one would have in their hometown with the addition of skiing. People could now spend days or even a whole season at a resort because it had all the basic amenities they would need, like dining, retail, housing, and hotels. This changed the game, and Vail became a role model for other resorts. From being just a childhood dream, Vail had proved to be more than anything Pete could have thought of. The resort, Vail itself, had grown to date to have 5,317 acres of skiable terrain, and now has 32 lifts. Vail is now the biggest ski resort in Colorado and one of the biggest in North America. The company that started in Vail, now named Vail Resorts, owns 42 different resorts in 3 different continents. In the year 2025, Vail Resorts' whole net revenue was $2,629,873,000. The company now owns popular resorts like Keystone, Breckenridge, Park City, and Whistler Blackcomb. Pete Seibert's story has clear examples of reaction, reform, and revolution, beginning with the Army when they needed to react to not being prepared to fight in mountain terrain, and then to Pete himself when he had reactions to hardships that only helped fuel him in completing his dream. The Army also reformed their previous strategies at war. After failing trying to use simple infantry to fight in mountain terrain, they stepped back and made an intelligent choice to create a specific division for the battle being fought. Pete reformed the ski industry in the United States when he introduced European concepts and turned skiing into a one-stop destination. Lastly, the Army's idea was revolutionary for the United States and led to great breakthroughs in World War II that contributed greatly to the effort. From the mountains of Italy to the slopes of Colorado, the journey of Pete Seibert shows what one man can accomplish and that it is possible to make your dreams come true. He showed example that there will be hard times, but it is possible to make your way through, and that if you love something, you should pursue it. His impact on the industry is so that his legacy will live on not only in the slopes and town of Vail, but in every skier for the rest of time.